I am a balanced being. Both my masculine and feminine selves are functioning in harmony within me. I love and am tapped into my strong, firm, expressive masculine qualities. I love and am tapped into my gentle, patient, creative, nurturing feminine qualities. I will say this until I have merged the two aspects of me in total harmony. Sacred woman in the making, sacred woman reawaken. Ancestors, hold us near, protect us from all harm and fear beneath the stones of life. Direct our steps in the right way as we journey through this vision. Ancestors, surround us in your most absolute, perfect light. Anoint us in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless us, truly bless us, as we share this sacred life. Teach us, sacred spirit, to be in tune with the universe. Teach us how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. Ashe. Ancestors, we stand in need of sacred unions. We pray for a sacred union with ourselves, with you, the Creator, and with our mate. Ancestors, help us to attract and establish harmonious, healthy relationships and joyous oneness with our life partners. Help us to identify and release old hurt feelings, resentments, and hostilities trapped within our body temple. Help us to have the vision, strength, and courage to learn from all of our past and present relationships, as they are all reflections of our own consciousness, each and every one. If by chance any of our intimate relationships do not change, may we remain undaunted and fearless. May we be the one to become the first link of change and transformation in our own lives, for all healing really begins within us. We affirm that each one of our intimate relationships, past or present, has value and has in some way prepared us to grow into more conscious, sacred unions with ourselves. As we reflect on the true purpose of sacred union, we give thanks to the divine masculine and feminine within us, and the divine masculine and feminine that unite to create sacred unions. The life force from which all creation flows is within us. I am a sacred woman. 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 Nukpu Intermit. Tapu. So, hello. Our sacred movement today is going to be basic, just womb movement. I have a kind of special song to share, and I only say kind of because I don't have the audio playing. I just have YouTube playing on my TV for it. But it's a really cool song, I think, and it's like the direction I would love for the community to take. This is a song by, we're going to be dancing to, should I say, a song by Corey Goldwaves. That's a YouTuber that I follow. I mean, he's a musician who has a YouTube channel. And, you know, he posts up little blurbs of him playing on the piano and different like beats and stuff he makes. And then I saw, like last week,
that he posted one called Spirit Guides. And I was like, what? Spirit Guides? That's like exactly what we do here. So I listened to the song and I was really excited because it did seem like something we could put into this. So here we're going to just be, moving intuitively. Just get your womb work in. I didn't move too much because I didn't want like my heavy ass footsteps and shit like ruining the song. So I tried to keep it a little mellow on my part, but feel free to, go all out as you wish. But I just really wanted to share the song. I wanted to share his channel. You can look him up, Corey Goldwaves. Spirit Guides is the name of the song, and you'll be able to find it, I'm sure. It came up for me, on the TV, so it should be no problem. And yeah, I hope you enjoy and go check out his channel, and hopefully, if enough of us like his song, he'll make us some more. So who knows? But yeah, please support that. And if any of you know of anybody else who's making, ancestor music, spirit guide music, spiritual black folk music, I don't know, ancestor gospel, whatever folks are doing, let me know, and we can maybe get some of their songs in and share, them with everybody too, and spread the word about them and get them famous. I don't know. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this one, and enjoy this beautiful sacred movement whenever you're doing this or you've dedicated the time to put this in.
Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides, to my spirit guides. You keep me safe like guardians from paradise. You pick me up when I fall. When I have tears from those sad, sad nights, to my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides. To my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides. To my spirit guides. Thank you to my spirit guides. To my spirit guides.
Our Adinkra study today, I'm going to welcome you to my kitchen. I just feel like standing today, and I have my whole counter clean. All my counters are clean. Everything's clean in here. So, it's like there's space. And so I was like, oh, this would be a nice, like, fun space to be. So today we have Odor Nira Fiquine. Love does not miss its way home. Those led by love will never lose their way. So there we go. And over here, let's see if you can see the words maybe. Yeah. All right. So this, let's see. It's the triumph of good over evil, the power of love. What is meant for you will not pass you by. Release the angst, expectations, and vision you have for love. Fully accept yourself as a true vision of it, deserving of joy. It will find you. So I think, yes, the power of love is such a beautiful symbol to have for, maybe like love work, sacred union work, sacred relationships of all types. There's a lot of different ways that you could perhaps utilize this type of symbol in your work. So love wins. Make yourself a beacon for love, and trust what you want wants you. That's such a beautiful one too. And that goes back to what we were talking about last time about faith with the ancestors, as well as having faith in, yourself, having faith in your future, having faith in things coming to you. When you finish up your work, it is done. Feeling that genuinely in your heart. And, like we said, it may take time practicing that. You may have to just practice feeling that for a couple seconds at a time, right? The same way that people practice that affirmation, believing that affirmation for just a moment at a time, and then clinging to that longer and longer until that is something that you understand as a truth. That also, kind of goes in with this, with that faith of understanding that what you want wants you, and believing it, trusting it, as they say. All right, so this deck again can be found at adinkraliving.com. And let me put this card at the bottom so we don't have to see it again for a second. Alright, so our 42 Laws study, the 42 Laws of Mott. I will not commit fraud. I will not commit fraud. So, being fraudulent. For many, fraudulence is, linked in their mind to criminal activity exclusively. But in actuality, fraudulence is just a general form of deception, living deceitfully in order to have personal gain. So when you think about not being a fraudulent person, in the sense that the 42 Laws of Mott are they're a moral code, right? So you're thinking of it from a basis of just being a moral person, being a good person, a person whose heart is light enough to weigh against the feather of Mott, a person who's following these laws in order to have a peaceful world around them. Then not being a fraudulent person, living truthfully, honestly, not misleading people on how you've gotten something or how you've done something. Better to be silent, right, than to be fraudulent. And so I think in this case, when they're talking about fraudulence, they're not just talking about, like, don't scam a company. It's more about the community, it's more about culture, it's more about the ways you interact with others on a daily basis. And I think this is a good one to remember, not being deceitful for personal gain in the era of social media celebrity growth. It's really tempting to want to be a celebrity in social media, right? It seems like the easiest way to become a celebrity nowadays. And so a lot of people are committing fraud. When I think about it that way, when I say it out loud, like living a deceitful life to have personal gain. There are a lot of folks out there who are, using Photoshop and pretending they aren't, using even plastic surgery and saying that they didn't get plastic surgery, saying it's like squats. I'm like, girl, just say you spent, 20,000. Dude, say you bought those pecs, sir. It's okay. We know you didn't work out and get that in a year, And yet there are people really living fraudulently. And then there's also, like, not just body wise. I mean, people will, it means a lot of stuff is body related, like the pills, the waist trainers that are kind of built for only one body type. So they weren't really ever going to work for anyone who didn't have, like, a snatched waist and a huge ass to begin with, I feel like. Then there was, like, what else? Like, right, those gummies, the vitamins, the melatonin. I don't even know what's in those things. Like, they help you sleep and be energized. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fraudulence. It's really easy to get sucked into fraudulence. It's really easy to see people who are making money off fraudulence. And so then you're like, can I get in on that fraudulence? And it's kind of creating a really, scary culture, which I'm not going to get into too much because there are countless videos on YouTube about the culture that Instagram and other social media is creating. If you want a good one about the body and black women on Instagram, I think For Harriet really covered that in a video she did. So, yeah, I'm not going to go into that here, but I did want to make that correlation just because it popped into my head when I was thinking of, the living that deceitful life and what's one of the easier ways to, get pushed into a deceitful life. Because there's some deceitfulness that's not based in, trying to do, like, evil intent, right? There's some that are like, you code switch when you go to work, which some might see as fraudulent, but most of us would just see as like a protective measure. Or, you, I don't know, like, there's like a bunch of times where, maybe not totally being yourself isn't an immoral thing to do, right? But when we're thinking about the morality aspect of it, we're thinking about day-to-day living. That's why being a sacred woman, for me, is so important. And it's so important for me to always continue to grow, always continue to study, always continue to live it and practice it, right? That's why I decided to clean off my whole counter. It's just because I was like, it's time to, like, I want even more space. I want even more openness. I want to get rid of even more things. I want my space to be even nicer so that, focusing on that sacred space, there's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to fully commit to it and to actually stand up and go to that little corner that has something piled up in it and focus on that and put it together, make it into something, So, and that's just an example of sacred space. But anyways, it is important to put that effort into things. And I don't even remember where I was going with all this. I just keep jumping all over the place. Because fraudulence, it's such a weird word. And, like, I think sometimes the 42 laws, when you really meditate on them, they can really take you different places. So anyways, that's why we study them, yeah. That's why we study them. It's just so we can focus on being, better people. That's what I was talking about, being a sacred woman. It gives you that thing that is able to not just hold yourself to a standard, because, my standards aren't all the exact same as Queen Afua, but it does give like a standard, and it does remind you to hold yourself to a standard. It does remind you to keep in your center. Because when you have these standards for yourself, things like basic ass fraudulence don't really cross your mind, or if they do, they're not really an option. So it's just like it's a step-by-step process, so anyways, but that was our studies for today. I definitely hope, oh, that's not even the card. I just held up a random card. I think I put our card away actually already. There we go. That was the card from last time, I think, actually. So here we go. I like this one. It reminds me kind of a bug. Like, like a love bug. Right? I don't know. Am I seeing things? Does that look like a bug to you? This may be a pretty one to do for like a wedding ring symbol, on your ring finger. That would be a pretty one. I don't know. I'm thinking. But I think this one would also work for that, actually. Maybe like wisdom, or like the two pieces coming together. I don't know. I think too much. Anyway, but we're on Sacred Union, so I can think about those things, right? Alright. But yeah, I think we're living, and then the 42 laws, I was going to also say, they're in the book at the beginning. I haven't said that in a long time. They're in the first chapter of the book. So you can certainly get into the habit of, like, if you're somebody who's kind of still like, I don't even know what to say at the altar. What am I doing up at 4 a.m.? You can, on page 12, you could just start by saying the 42 laws. I will, or I will not, and then at the end of the day you can say I have not. And so when you say these, they give you a sense of moral code for the day, for the to think about and facilitate peace throughout what you're doing. And so it's a really simple way to just have something to do at your altar. When you're sitting there and maybe you've just had a sacred bath and you're not quite sure what to start, or you just want to start by saying something out loud, speaking something into the air, that's a good way to start. That's another really good way to start. She has a lot of, really good ways to start in here. But this is just one of them, and I know it would resonate with some people. It really resonates with me. This is one of the things that absolutely resonates with me, even though I don't, follow Kemetic religious stuff. The 42 Laws of Maud, I think, are really timeless and kind of are able to inspire many different religions and many different spiritualities. So it is my goal to be able to have that up in my room at some point. I don't know how, but I'm hoping. And, who knows, maybe I'll find a creative way to put that in my room so that I'll have a beautiful way to look at that. Maybe there are like nice posters out there. I feel like all the posters I see are usually like kind of just thrown together. It would be nice if somebody had like a really nice 42 Laws of Mott poster or other kind of posters, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud too much. All right, you have a wonderful day. So I just took the chop off camera. My bad, y'all. My bad. Didn't get to smoke with me today. But I figured we'd still have the chop break because oh, that's better. We got the light on. Alright, because, yeah, we should still do the chop break because I did just take the chop. But I don't have enough tree to redo it all for the thing. I'm broke, y'all. I'm having some money. My money's slow right now. That's all. So, gotta preserve the tree, conserve the tree. All right, we are at chapter 12. We're going to read all right, we'll just read 6 through 9 because they all kind of relate to each other. So it starts with when the fire breaks out inside inside. I'm guessing it was supposed to say the enemy's camp. It says to respond at once with an attack from without. If there is an outbreak of fire, but the enemy's soldiers remain quiet, bide your time and do not attack. When the force of the flame has reached its height, follow it up with an attack if that is practicable. If not, stay where you are. If it is not possible to make an assault with fire from without, do not wait for it to break out within, but deliver your attack at a favorable moment. So, it's in essence, if you see, we have it here. Sao Kung says, if you see a possible way, advance, but if you find the difficulties too great, retire. So I think that really sums up what this one's really asking you to do, because we've talked about this before in this book, the idea of like just jumping head first into something and kind of just missing out on a great opportunity because you were ill prepared. But this one talks more about the situation that you're jumping into and less about like your own personal preparedness. Like you should be ready to jump in if you're capable. And sometimes it is, reasonable to go ahead and go through with something. But at the same time, there are times when you're just jumping into chaos and you're not actually achieving anything. So in this case, yes, we're talking about, he says, I wanted to go back to the number 7 when he says, if there's an outbreak of fire, but the enemy soldiers remain quiet, bide your time and do not attack. Because that one is, a sign of manipulation, right? If there appears to be things, going wrong, but there's also something that's like not quite right about the situation. I mean, that type of intuitive understanding is really necessary to remember how to make the right moves in your own life. Just because, the enemy may be ready to receive you. And then, what then? Or in a case of not a person but a situation, the situation could be ready to, help somebody else out. So, I don't know, my kids were just fighting, so I don't remember where I just laid off. Oh, I think I was talking about how, the enemy could be ready to receive you, or, you could be just totally misreading a situation. You could think that, this sign means that you should jump in when really it definitely didn't mean that. You should have backed off or just waited a little longer. So, I mean, really coming to understand your situation as well as coming to be able to read the signs around what's happening, reading other people is a really important part of this as well. But caution is, ultimately, even if you don't have an intuitive look of common sense, caution is usually your best mode. Just make sure, you're getting educated, that you always take the time to look into things, look things up, because, it's better to have that knowledge than to just be diving in head first and losing all the time. So if that's something that you feel like you've done, definitely check into caution more. And otherwise, you're working on your intuition, working on reading people and reading situations, and then looking back later and seeing if you were right and like where you went wrong or what you misread, will also help you be better intuitively. So excuse the sound of boiling, but I have a little bit of food cooking in the background. I decided to cook my kids their breakfast. So be warned, there will be alarms. So we are on page 336 for our Sacred Woman Studies. We're at the top grandmother's basic 4, and we're going to be talking about the wedding situation and all of that goodness. So she talks about visiting the Virgin Islands with her grandmother and the wisdom that she shares with her there. One day when I was spending a winter in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, on top of Old Mountain Road inside of Scot Free, I was looking out the window at the ocean, feeling bewildered by so many women complaining about their relationships. Ooh, sounds familiar, nothing changes. Then all of a sudden, my grandmother's spirit came through me and left me this message about grandmother's basic 4 for keeping your man in the home. So here Queen is talking about an ancestor working through her and told her this message, and she wrote it down here for us. So this is something that you can, try and get messages when you're just sitting at the altar. You can try and get those messages when you're working at your journal. And I think this is such a powerful testimony too, because she was kind of in the midst of a lot of despair, and helplessness, because I'm sure a lot of people were I'm sure they were of various ages, right? You can find people in failed relationships or really sad relationships at most any age. And it can be overwhelming, especially if you feel like you're one of those people who's had a ton of failed relationships, or if your relationship right now, as strong as it may have seemed, feels like it's going through a really rough area, right? So it can be really overwhelming when you feel like there's no relationship you can even look to. Like, is it even possible? So here she had a moment where she was kind of overcome with all of those really negative, really, they're overwhelming, sad thoughts of, not only you're alone, but we're all alone, and we're all in this alone, and we're all, the reality is none of us has a good partner, whatever that cycle of thoughts, how that goes. And here grandma says, honey, stop crying. Come here, sit down and dry your tears. Listen, I'm an old woman, been married some 40 odd years, and during those years I have learned some basic lessons on how to keep a man coming home. I'm going to make it plain. Once you get your man, these freaking fruit flies. I have fruit flies like everywhere in here, and I don't even have that much fruit, you guys. I think it just comes from the market. They have to just be living on the fruit when I bring it here sometimes, because they're just chilling in my house. Anyways, she says, I'm going to make it plain. Once you get your man or your partner, hopefully these will all apply, be it through beauty, intelligence, strength, purity, or all of the above, and you have wedded, use my wisdom for keeping your spouse coming home and away from straying. 1. Be sure to feed them wholesome meals made with your own hands and from your own pots. This is an important one. That's a very important one. And no, you are not putting menstrual blood in your food. There's no fucking need. There's no need. They're already eating your food from your fucking pots, you guys. Those are your pots, right? We've already talked about the pots all the way back here somewhere. We've been talked about how you should have, either you should have or you should be, that should be something that's like on your list of like the perfect household that you're going to be manifesting, that you are manifesting, is to have your own set of like clayware, ceramic ware, glassware is fine too. I think she lists like there's a couple metals that you should be like trying to avoid. However, your pots should be your pots, and hopefully they're those old-fashioned pots that, can get some wonderful flavors in there, and as you cook over the years, that's really your thing. I'm still waiting to get my pots. Don't worry about it if you don't have your pots. I have the pots that I use, and I use them every day, and I clean them, and I put them away, and I make my soups in them, and I stir them. That's also the very important part, stirring your food. We talked about that in here somewhere. She was talking about even stirring her raw foods when they were doing their raw foods. And I don't do raw foods all the time. I do raw foods some of the time, and I also cook because cooking is wonderful. It feels good in the body and makes the body, feel wonderful. Plus, cooked foods is how we became the humans we are today. Isn't that like a fun fact? I learned about that recently. That like the chewing of softer things is like what led to us having like the jaws we have, which led to all the other structures that we have on our faces, and how our brain is there for shape, all these wonderful things. So cooked foods, I'm a fan of those. And I also I love stirring my energy into the food, serving it up to the family. That's why I like to make porridge for my kids in the morning, just stir up like some good stuff in there, and then serve it to them, and they're all happy and their little tummies are full and warm, and it's all nice. I love that. So cooking your food, putting your energy into your food, using your pots that have your energy, your juju in there, those are important things. And then also, so that's just one part of that, but there's also the fact that you are having this food prepared so that your partner, if this is I think for somebody who's staying at home like I do, but I mean maybe you're not that person, so you don't always cook, but cooking is, a beautiful way to show your partner that you care, to show your partner that you're thinking of them, that you're thinking of their health, that you're thinking of the things that they like, that you're thinking of, making them feel that really good feeling that you only feel when you eat good food and you're full and you're at home with people you love. Those are such good feelings. So associating you with that warmth, that love, nurturing even, right? We got to nurture our spouses sometimes. They definitely need that. We need that, right? That's part of why people get into relationships, is because they recognize they need to be nurtured to some extent in some ways. So that was our first one. Be sure to feed your spouse wholesome meals made with your own hands and from your own pots. 2, be mindful to keep looking attractive. Keep yourself well groomed, especially the feet. Because when a woman is losing her partner, you can usually tell by the way she treats her feet. That's so sad. Jeez, that's the saddest thing I ever heard. I don't know about all that. Never been looking at anyone's feet. Didn't check anybody out like that. However, it's a good chance to check our own feet, right? We've talked about grooming of the feet. The feet is usually really neglected. I told you guys, I'm always trying to bring up the fact that I barefoot because I want other people to do it too. And somebody messaged me. I need to message her back. I totally forgot. But she was a barefooter too, and she was a sacred woman too. She's like, I didn't know any other sacred women were barefooters. So we had like a cool moment on Facebook for a second there. But anyways, so you should be a barefooter too. But anyways, I've actually been getting into caring for my feet more since I've been a barefooter, right? Because before it's like I just shove my feet into like, socks, or sometimes I just shove them into the stinky shoes without even thinking about socks, because it's like I'm just running to here or running to there. It's not a big deal. And I don't often leave the house or use my shoes. So I didn't really think about it. And then, and then I was just like, now I'm always washing my feet and like lotioning them, massaging them, painting my toenails. I don't have rings yet. I have funds for all that. But I did get those barefoot sandals earlier this year. I was able to get something beautiful to wear when I go out and about. And I really have been loving those. They're so beautiful, and they give that nice little tinkle around the feet, when you're walking. And most people don't. And when you have those little things on, like, nobody gives a damn, y'all. That is, I also think, like, I know a lot of people get, like, kicked out of establishments, all this other stuff, and I don't believe you should have to, dress yourself to the nines all the time to not get discriminated against for running in and getting, like, a kale wrap, as I saw on Facebook recently with that other barefoot sister. But at the same time, when you do take the time to do all that grooming, and your nails are done, you're wearing all the pretty toe rings, or you have the barefoot sandals on, and you're dressed in that sacred way. There's sacredness and intention in everything you do. People are usually less likely to even care or even really notice that you don't have something on underneath the soles of your feet. And so it's like you can still maintain that mindfulness about your spiritual practice, about, the ground beneath your feet and what it means, whether you're walking on the dirt, the grass, or cement, pavement, whatever. You're still able to make that connection without being, like, harassed as much by other people. And it's just good to, be putting that intention in your feet, where you're walking next, of what you're walking towards, right? We've talked about that before too, doing the foot blessing, blessing your feet for where you're about to walk today, blessing your feet for where they're about to carry you, who they're about to take you to. So we've talked about those types of things before. So here, making sure that your feet are groomed too is a sign of, being well kept. It's a sign of caring for your whole body, right? That sacredness from head to toe. And this kind of is an energy that does translate to your spouse. And so I do think maybe that's part of why she mentioned here keeping yourself groomed. And then also, I want to say this part, keeping yourself groomed for your spouse instead of the world all the time, right? I think we have, like, that habit of going outside and dressing up for the nines for strangers, and then we come home and we, like, take it all out, and we're like, if you don't love me at my worst, or whatever, I don't know, remember that saying. I never say that shit right. Anyway, but it's like a different thought switch is finding ways to be comfortable yet beautiful also at home, so that your spouse also gets to see you at this beautiful, luxurious state. So, some of the ways I like to suggest is getting, like, prettier dresses to wear inside, maybe little sundresses or pretty little nighties that you can just, wear around. There are house coats that are really beautiful out there. There are really luxurious ones, with the big puff sleeves. I just saw, I forget what her name is, but I'm sure you've seen them on Instagram. The girl who just does those big tulle dresses that just go out or from the hips, or there's a two-piece involved, but it's a lot of tulle and it's just big and poofy, right? And she has only that kind of dress. But she started doing, like, a little house coat. Little, why did I say that? It is huge. It's tulle, puffy, big sleeves, sheer, elegant, way too damn much. But it is, really lovely. And, having those really lovely things, making yourself feel really elegant and beautiful in your home while still being comfortable is, a way that also benefits you, because you're feeling like you're the shit, walking around your house, your house that's all done up sacred and beautiful as well. You're putting in those different bits of effort. You're actually, facilitating peace around you, not just through your actions, but through the very energy you're exuding. And this is also something that, when you're able to have that peace, like, you're literally a walking altar around your house, your spouse will also feel that peace when they're in the home with you. And of course, peace isn't something you can maintain 1,000,000,000% of the time, but always working to regain it, use it, and have everybody be, together and understanding of that promise of peace between you is, I think, ultimately what's important there. So, 3, do not forget to keep the house clean and in order, either with your hands or a trusted spiritual housekeeper. Wouldn't that be the fucking life? Shit. Trusted spiritual housekeeper. There's somebody on Instagram I follow, again, cannot remember their name at all. But they do spiritual house cleaning somewhere, I want to say somewhere on the East Coast, I think. Once I looked into it, they're not around me, unfortunately. But they do such a good job. You know, they're like in the home cleaning up everything, and then they'll be like, you know, rubbing it down with the Florida water. They'll like smoke cleanse, all that really awesome stuff. And I was like, that is needed. I need more of that. I need like folks who will do all that, because like as a sacred woman, I can do the like spiritual house cleansing, but the house needs to be clean before I get there. You know, I'm like not who you want cleaning your house, y'all. So, but I do feel like that is just something that's super needed in the communities. Folks who will be able to do that whole thing, right? But if you have somebody, hop on it, right? Maybe even like once a year, not even just because it's like, I really need help, you know, catching up, which I think is awesome if you can have somebody help you catch up like that. But also just like to have somebody else do the deep clean, you know, look at, you know, see things through a fresh set of eyes, you know, do the wipe down in their own way once a year, maybe really helpful for you. And then also, it could just be like a relaxing thing for you, you know, have them come over and maybe you can step out for a little while. And then when you come back, your home is like this fresh energy and you feel ready for the week, or, you know, however it may be. But keeping your own home clean to keep those, like, keep the energy not stagnant, get that dust up, get the dust out. You know, some places are easier to get the dust out than others, but you know, maintaining the space as best you can, just trying to keep the floors clear, trying to keep the pathways clear, things put away so that people can find them for the most part. Those types of things are like the basic for keeping, you know, the chaos energy down. I mean, obviously, if you have kids, shit's just going to be everywhere. But hopefully it's their shit, right? Hopefully your shit isn't mixed all up with all that shit and it's just shit everywhere. Because that's that chaos energy, right? When everybody's like, and where's this? And where's this? And everybody's just throwing things up in the air, blah, blah, blah. For me, like, for the most part, I've actually been able to keep my space pretty clear. But I do have this, like, chair in my living room. This little, like, chair that's like nobody can sit in it. It's really old, but then I just like stack my shit in it. Like I just have like it's like a stack. It's like my quilt is there, the quilt I'm working on, and then I have like books, and then I have papers, and I have like all this random crap. So it's like a lot. So it's like my little like trash, not trash, but you know, it's like my random pile, my miscellaneous drawer, but it's a whole ass chair. So yeah, anyways, but the rest of the room is relatively clear. So, you know, that I'm saying is like a little easier, because then it's you kind of know where to go for things, right? And when you guys don't have that chaos energy where it's like you can't even find shit in the own home, you're like tripping just to go to the bathroom, which, like, I mean, folks have been there, right? Especially if you're really young. Like if you're like in your early 20s, the chances that your home looks like that right out the bat of living, you know, on your own is likely, you know. Or if you're, you know, somebody who's a super busy professional, likely, you know. But at the same time, finding those ways to either budget the expenses, if you're both working, to budget the expense so you can have somebody helping you guys clean the house. That is something I think a lot of people just don't consider, and I don't know why. It's like, we'll consider putting out expense for other people to do like a bunch of other things, but we won't do it for something that it's like people are like fighting over. Like if it's a source of serious contention in your house, y'all pull together something, or however you guys do the money, which we'll talk about that type of stuff later too. And figure it out, make a budget, get somebody to help you guys maybe. Because I do know that like once you get the place clean, it's usually pretty easy to upkeep. So like if you're at that point where it's like we don't even know where to start, or I don't even know where to start, maybe time to invest in either get a trusted housekeeper and have them clean the house and you do the spiritual cleaning, or if you can get a trusted sacred spiritual house cleaner, that would be amazing. That would be really awesome. Because yeah, then you could get like, maybe they have packages and stuff. I don't even know. That would be awesome, right? You could pay for, certain energy cleanse and like certain protection work maybe for the family, or uplifting energy for the family, whatever you guys need that week. That would be really cool. Anyways, we are over number 4. She says, be loving to your partner out of bed and in the bed. Give them good Southern or Island or African lovin'. It's all the same, good. Furthermore, don't go to bed or fall asleep with bad words between you and your mate. Work it out before the sleep sets in. But grandmother, I asked, what about me? What about you, honey? In order to truly love your mate and keep them loving you, you must love yourself. Child, I've said enough. I'm an old woman and I'm going to go and get my rest now. Bless you, honey. It's going to be all right. Just you never forget grandmother's basic 4. So, I mean, here she's talking about the reciprocation that tends to follow. And I think we're going to see something similar. This kind of reminds me of the principles of, what is that? We're going to read a little excerpt from it soon. The 5 love languages. That part reminds me a little bit of the premise, kind of the 5 love languages, right? Which is that when you speak your spouse's, partner's, the person you're in a relationship with, love language, they will respond positively because their bucket is being filled, or however we're going to describe that, right? And so in this case, that's kind of what grandmother is saying, is that she's saying, through the facilitation of your actions, you're going to get that reciprocity back. And then, of course, if you don't get the reciprocity back, something else is completely wrong with this union that's like kind of beyond perhaps what you can deal with. But even in 5 love languages, he does talk about the patience that you need to have around that type of thing. Because, especially if you've been in the habit of being harmful for a long time, taking that back, rewinding that, healing that can be really difficult and require patience. But I really recommend that book if that's, sounds like something that you could use. We have, sorry, okay, good. We're still here. Okay, so then, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Oh, falling asleep without the bad words. I think that one, that's something a lot of people say work for them. You know what I mean? A lot of people say that works for them. I've never followed that rule personally. Sometimes I'm mad for days, but I'm usually not mad for days. So yeah, so it's like, whatever. Maybe that does work. Who knows? But that can be a good one to have for most situations. Mostly have a rule regarding not being angry about stuff, especially if you've determined that it probably wasn't that big of a deal, or it wasn't, or you've maybe overreacted, like it was a big deal, but you took it to like a huge deal. I don't know. So, there are ways to kind of determine if it's a good thing to release or forgive or talk about before you go to sleep. Let's see. Oh, and I also love how she said in the bed and out of the bed, because, that love outside of the bed also means something, right? That affection that you can show somebody also, it can be, there's so many ways. There's so many ways to be romantic and loving to somebody outside of the bed. So I like that she also included that. So I went and got my kids and tried to give them that porridge I made. And they're not interested. But they're playing with some Play-Doh right now, so we'll keep going. I actually was just thinking to myself, wondering if
what I made was even really a porridge. I, I second guess my porridges a lot, or most of my meals, but I'm getting better because I keep, looking up things like, is that a thing? And it's a thing. So I'm not surprised to see it's an Asian thing because I learned rice porridge from a Chinese boss I had at a bilingual Chinese school I worked at once. So they are the ones who taught me the recipe of rice porridge, just cooking rice down until it's porridge, And what I usually do is I use pre-cooked rice. Looks good. A carrot. Yummy, yummy. Oh, so silly. Yeah, you're Play-Doh. Alright, so, yeah, so I looked it up and they call it congee or juk. There's two different ones. So, a bone, interesting. So we have the sweet potato juk. I guess juk is a way they say rice porridge. And then a Taiwanese congee with sweet potato. So, and there's Malaysian Chinese person called it congee as well. And then the Japanese rice porridge and sweet potato. So, like, a bunch of these people basically did what I did. So I shouldn't even feel bad about this. My kids are just jerks. Alright, you keep playing, okay? Don't really eat your Play-Doh. You have food on the table if you're hungry. You got your sweet potato porridge. Okay. It's a real thing. It's real. It's on Google. I didn't make it up. It's sweet potato porridge is a thing. Sweet potato rice porridge is a thing. I was like, did I just do something weird? Because it tastes like regular porridge. It's like sweet potatoes. Anyway, now that I've wasted some of our time on that, let's move on. When a sacred woman weds. Page 336 still. We just did a small column there. We still got a bunch to go. At a women's rites of passage workshop a few years ago, I spoke about traditional African ways of healing through marriage, how problems between a husband and wife were solved in Africa, and also how a marriage was formed. Okay, don't put it in your mouth. I feel like I always have to, say that about Play-Doh, even though they don't know that dough is something you eat. I don't know. It feels like a warning I have to say, constantly while I play with Play-Doh. I just don't want them to take a bite of the stuff. Though I'm sure it's not super poisonous, but I'd rather not find out. So, where were we? I told them how the village or family would arrange a marriage and how there was third-party intervention too by elders and family members in both arranging and maintaining the marriage. So obviously arrangement isn't something that a lot of us experience anymore. Even if we wanted to, it's like whose mom would your mom go talk to arrange a marriage? Whose dad would your dad go talk to? You know what I mean? That just... Okay. Alright, can you sit at the table with your Play-Doh, please, Tyra? Okay. It is a triangle. So, but the maintaining of the relationship, I think, is a pretty big one, you know what I mean? So it's like you won't be, even if you wanted to, you couldn't get an arranged marriage these days, but you can get, help maintaining it. And there does, I think, need to be a paradigm shift in our communities, in which we do help try and support each other. You know what I mean? To continue our marriages, to continue our partnerships, to heal them, to make them better, support each other. Because kind of the atmosphere now is more just like people are waiting for you to fail. Some people are on the cutthroats, waiting to get on in the second they can. most people don't like really respect marriage or other people's marriages, and or a lot of people, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of people don't. And so there I think does need to be a paradigm shift in which we're actively trying to help each other maintain relationships that are worth saving, that are worth healing, that are able to heal, that have partnerships that are looking to grow. You know what I mean? Because that does genuinely happen to people. You know, people do genuinely grow. People do genuinely go through really dark spaces together and find ways to actually be healthy and healing and peaceful together. So that is something that can work, and I think a lot of the times we're used to just chucking in the towel for like most any offense. And that's not just marriage, but that's like, you know, trying to build a sacred union as well. And there does have to be, you know, not only effort from you guys, but I do think that level of support and that you know, just the energetic belief of supporting each other in marriage, you supporting other people's marriages, other couples who are trying to, you know, maintain and grow and be. That's so important. It's so important to be encouraging people to still have those sacred, healthy sacred unions if a sacred union with one other person is what they're trying to do, you know? It's not anything to be ashamed of. There are privileges that come with marriage that I think a lot of people chase. Um, but we shouldn't be trying to just encourage people to just, you know, break up and like willy nilly. There should be like a support system. And so that's kind of something that we'd have to build ourselves, right? Which is going to be the next part that Queen talks about. She says, afterwards, a young woman came up and told me how surprised she was to hear she had instinctively been using these traditional ways in her life. When my husband and I planned to marry, we had a lot of problems to work out, she said. I spoke about my worries to my cousin. My husband also spoke to her of his concerns. She was able to convey our thoughts, feelings, and worries to each other without strife. She was able to make both of us understand the other's point of view without causing further problems. We were then able to come together in marriage. So this is another thing that maybe someday in the community somebody will kind of start a business on, you know, like be able to both say their sides and kind of have this mediator, this old elder mediator. But try to find that in your life if you can. Try to find that just genuinely. It doesn't even have to be you paying somebody. Like, if you can, if you do have that, like a lot of people genuinely don't, but if you really do have somebody that you can think of, like, oh, that person actually could help, you know, especially before you wed, then I think that's something that you should try and put in effort into having that person you trust, having that person who can help you, because you know, a lot of people keep everything inside, and like the general rule is that, right, you don't ever tell anything that's happening outside of your relationship, because again, you know, the hyenas are there ready to drag off a carcass the second your relationship looks dead. So, you know, most people, you know, try not to just blab out everything, which is a good rule. But it is also important to not only be bouncing ideas off of each other, to have a situation in which you are able to have that third person who's not invested in trying to date one of you, who's not invested in seeing you guys broken up. This person is invested in helping you guys maintain the relationship, which is your ultimate goal. That's something that's really powerful. And so, be that person a family member, or be that person a therapist or hired mediator, that is something that most couples, I think, should look into trying to have. So she goes on to say, okay, so she said they were able to come together in marriage. Later on down the line, my husband and I came to another crossroad. The path we chose to follow this time could have destroyed our marriage. At this time, there was another third-party intervention. I spoke to a dear elder about my concerns and feelings, and she was able to bring those things to my husband's attention in a non-threatening way while I listened in. He relayed to her his thoughts and feelings as well. When all was said and done, I felt closer to my husband than I ever had before, and I found a way to love him for his truly divine self.
So I thought this was a really good thing to add to, because it just reminds you that the beginning is not the end, right? So just because you got some kind of help or guidance in the beginning doesn't mean that there's not going to be any crossroads in your relationship, in your union. There's not going to be moments where you're both, in a conflict, at odds with your desires, where you're both kind of looking at the other like, are we walking away from each other right now? And so, that's a real thing. And like I say a lot, love is a choice. Relationships, long term sacred unions that involve, intimacy as well as all of the other things. They involve a lot of choices. It's a personal choice to keep with that person day after day. It's a personal choice to love them day after day, to continue to be interested in what they're up to continue to make those choices and sacrifices for them. So keeping that in mind, people do change though. You'll change, they'll change. And there will be times when you'll need to recalibrate. And having a third party is very helpful. And sometimes you'll need it to communicate with each other, like this couple did. And sometimes you'll just need to go get a reading and, focus on your reading, focus on, what you're being told, get an outsider's opinion. Maybe explain it to somebody else and have them pull the cards, have them throw the bones, however it is, find it. That's another reason why you gotta have that trusted reader in your deck, that trusted person who does some form of divination that speaks to you, because that can also be a valuable third party influence on sacred unions. And that's not to say like every little issue, but that is to say, when you're at that point where you're super stuck and you're just like, I don't even fucking know, sometimes you really do need to talk to other people. And that does mean you need to be careful. You shouldn't be like word vomiting this situation to anybody who happens to come by with ears, but you should be looking for that situation and hopefully have something in place, or start actively searching for something to put in place to be this kind of outside help to maintain your relationship. Here we are at before the wedding, creating a spiritual balance. As we find our balance, our reflections will be healed. You see, there are no bad people. There are only unbalanced beings who, no matter how much they search and experiment, find their relationships usually end in fear, frustration, and pain. Balance within a relationship must begin first with personal balance within each partner. Pray daily that you and the mate that you draw to you will share the same goals and aspirations, that you're both traveling on the same road, so that together you're going to be going in the same direction. Study each other, take your time, and be guided in the spirit. As women become more attuned, negative interactions, old hurts, experiences, and conditions drop from our being, flee from our souls, so new possibilities can unfold. Do some form of water healing. For example, take a daily salt or herbal bath. If you live near the sea and if the weather permits, take a weekly ocean bath. So with the ocean bath, you can just wear your white dress or something like that and go into the waters and let them wash over you, swirl around you, stand in there as long as you can, just, looking out at the water. Sometimes, like I said, when I went out in the back here, I don't have the ocean or anything anymore. I miss Santa Cruz for that, for so many reasons. But, just watching the water, the waves, how they roll, can really put you in a meditative, hypnotic state. Maybe do some fire breathing out there while you're in the water. Those could all be really powerful things to do. So next time you're at the water too, bring along your sacred whites and take a dip in the water and enjoy yourself. Or maybe go to a nudist beach and go naked. That would be really nice, huh? So Drink a quart of purified water every day. Using water daily, inside and out, brings about balance, harmony, peace, and inner wisdom. It like can bring out those really wonderful thoughts when you're floating, or when your body's being really caressed by the water, and it's, you know, it's touching the whole body equally, not a single judgment. It can really bring out that inner wisdom that's often blocked by insecurities, and being unsure, being stressed, being degraded, or, you know, oppressed in different ways. So when you're in the water, though, that release of those burdens, you know, because you're so lightweight, because it's what caressing your skin and lifting your limbs, and like I said, no discrimination on any part of your body. There's no like role that it's embarrassed by, right? Water touches it all and embraces it all with equal love. And so those feelings, that energy can lead you to the healing that facilitates what you're looking for. In many things, not just love work, not just sacred unions. She also urges to fast for 7 to 21 days. Once you've cleansed, you'll be in harmony with your mate or mate to be. Now, that's a really long cleanse. And it will take dedication. It would also take, I really want to warn you when you're doing cleanses that are longer than like 3 days. 1 to 3 days, because some people can fuck themselves over with like a 1 day fast. Like, I've seen that shit happen, you know. Even, you know, a 1 day dry fast will like blow them over. So it is super important to make sure you're, you know, prepared before you start. Make sure you're hydrated and healthy before you start, that type of thing. And then also make sure whatever you're doing is something that is conducive to you. For example, most people should just jump in and do a dry fast for 24 hours, because they'll just be mad dehydrated and, you know, kind of in pain, probably have a headache by the end of it. Whereas it is really helpful to start by keeping your what's it called? What was I going to say? Where am I? I meant to say like water, you know, like or smoothies, or, you know what I'm saying, like have like a beverage fast, or, you know, some way in which you're still getting nutrients in. So making sure you're not doing too much with this type of fast initially. You're not hurting yourself for a month. Your fast shouldn't take you out, you know what I mean? It should be a revitalizing experience. You shouldn't be like starving to death, that type of thing. This is about, you know, consuming the waters, consuming the raw juices, consuming and making sure those are mostly green juices, mostly vegetables, not mostly fruit, and really cleansing the body, really getting an impact of all of that nutrition, all getting your palate cleansed, getting your stomach kind of back with those foods that digest in like 2 to 3 hours, right? So, different foods digest at different times. So if you do a 7 to 21 days of eating those foods that are very consistent, your body will get very cleansed out. And that cleanse of that colon also really helps to get rid of old energies, old foods that you were eating that were to, you know, mask the pain of or cover up the pain of a different situation, right? So getting those things out of you, moving on from those things, is another beautiful way to prepare yourself for your mate or mate to be. There are certain foods to avoid, foods that bring discord to the union. She warns about eating meat, making both men and women overly aggressive, sexist, and short-tempered, hard to get along with, and an overall state of imbalance. So we should all be cutting beef out of our lives, right? If we care about the Amazon, those farmers are only trying to make a living off beef because somebody's buying it. So, cutting down, we all have a promise. As Sacred Woman, we've been trying to promise to cut down to eating meat only a couple times a week. One of the, I want to show you guys. This is a really excellent way to cut down on your meat. So I'll show you both of these because I love using soup starters to add flavor to stuff. It's super easy, right? Because you don't have to like be sitting there mixing up all your spices and stuff. You just have like a whole bunch of really delicious stuff. I'm gonna be trying to get one of these bouillon. How do you say that? Things. There's like mushroom ones. I have this Japanese market by my house. It's got so many good things, and I don't know if this is something people have, like, this how it is, but we got some powdered chicken up in this bitch. So I have this one. It's by a pretty prominent brand, Lee Cone Key. I see that all the time on this brand on a lot of different places, and I recognize the lid, the red lid with the that says that too. So I recognize them, and I know that they're a pretty prominent brand. So I'm not sure if there's something you could find in like an Asian section if you guys live near Asian people, but I'm sure there are other, I'm sure there's an American version of this, but I love this one because it's got a lot of chicken meat in it. That chicken meat is like the third or fourth, ingredient, but it's pretty much all chicken meat. I mean, it's got a couple of, it's got some salt in there, some yeast and chicken fat, only 2% or less of chicken fat, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, so it's got a bunch of stuff in there, but, it adds a ton of chicken flavor, and you don't even have to put chicken in your soup. You know what I'm saying? So if you're somebody who's trying to like cut it back, or you got somebody in your house who's like, they're going to be looking for certain flavors. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be looking for certain flavors when you make something like a soup or a stir fry, or like a fried rice or something, or a rice pilaf. That's another good rice dish that I use these types of things for. Let me show you the other one I have. So I hella like this one too. And this one has carrot, onion, and tomato are the vegetables. Carrot, onion, and tomato. So, and it's pretty tasty. I mean, like, why does it have cabbage on the front? Shit, if they don't have that.
These babies
I don't even know.
These
vegetables. Anyways, but it's on the back. It shows like you can like be just tossing it in your rice. You can be rubbing your chicken down with it. You can use your meats, your sausage, your steak, your fish. So you can use this stuff on everything. But it's an easy way, like putting the vegetable one aside. If you're trying to cut back on meat, just add meat flavor in a meat that's not that like big of a deal, right? Chickens are pretty big of a deal, but they're not as polluting as those cows, because cows, like, they're doing it all. They're ruining the Amazon. They were the ones blowing the hole in the ozone layer with their gas from what we were feeding them. They're the ones who like use massive amounts of water, not just to drink, but to like take care of their poop and stuff. Like, there's just like, and then it's like, that doesn't even get into all the ways we abuse them to do all this stuff, So it's just kind of like, beef needs to be cut back. So finding those other little things to put, and I'm pretty sure also when you do make things like pho, like a seafood pho, they use like a chicken base. Pretty sure it's a chicken base broth, for that type of thing. So, finding ways to cut back on the meat. Easy, right? And not overdoing it on meat, gluttoning on meat at every meal. It will affect your mood. It will affect your body. It will affect how you're digesting. It will affect like bloating and all that, the gases inside. And it will also definitely affect your relationship, your mood, your hormones, all that stuff. She has a very beautiful affirmation right here. It is, I am a balanced being. Both my male and female selves are functioning in harmony within me. I love and am tapped into my strong, firm, expressive male qualities. I love and am tapped into my gentle, patient, creative, nurturing female qualities. I will say this daily until I have fully merged the two aspects of me in total harmony. So let me get my pen. I'm going to change this. And we're going to read this when I do the prayer portion. I'm going to put my kids away so I can do that in a type of piece later. But I'm going to change the word male to masculine and female to feminine so that we can like really address what we're focusing on here, right? Because male, female folks out here doing, feeling all types of feelings, acting all types of ways. We know that some people are just naturally very masculine, right? We've all had a girlfriend like that, and we've all had a male friend, a guy friend who is very feminine. So we're not going to go with that, but we are going to say what we're embracing within us is those masculine qualities and those feminine qualities. Those qualities that are typically associated with masculinity and those qualities that are typically associated with femininity. And merging the two within ourselves into full harmony allows us to then be able to find somebody else who is also able to understand that dance of merging the masculine and the feminine together into a person and then into a unionship. You will know when you've merged the two within and accomplished this ultimate harmony because you will have excellent communication, love, and peace with your loved one and with all of those in your life. As a woman, you represent heaven, the great mother Nut. Men represent earth, Jeb. So we have the masculine and the feminine again. We all represent, right? We got the sun and the moon, the skies and the earth. Together, when those two energies come together in harmony, you're striving for a balance between your heaven and your earth, between your masculine and your feminine. It's a continued extended dance, right, into your partner. The only way to experience this natural supreme state between you and your partner for a sacred union is to first heal yourself from deep within. So that's the part that I think is really important when we're addressing that. It's like you don't have to love yourself to love somebody else. However, if you're looking for a powerful sacred union, if you're looking for a situation in which you're both fighting for those same things, you're both coming together to, create this sacred union, healing yourself, taking that time to make the balance, between two things is it's paramount. But make that balance between the two things within you, between all of the facets within you, to come to understand them, to kind of understand what you want, right? Those types of things are very important, and it's important whether you're in a relationship now or seeking a relationship. Understanding what you want, because it changes. There are times when I've had to be like, no, I liked that then, don't like that now. Or this is a perfect example. In Portlandia, there's this skit they do that's like, where Fred Armisen's character is mad because he's a nerd and he feels like the jocks are getting the nerdy girls now or something, right? And so he's mad at his friend, and his friend is with her jock boyfriend, and this jock like picks her up and she's like holding her while they're talking, and he's, Fred's geeky character is getting all mad like, see, this is the issue, and like he's like, why, basically like, why is he carrying you like that? And then Carrie's character is like, well, turns out I like being carried. And I loved that part. I love that shit. I love how she's just like, well, turns out I like being carried. Because, it's like it was supposed to shame her, like, oh, what, is this what you girls like now? You want to be carried around, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, turns out, this is something I like. And, having that within yourself to be able to just be like, turns out this is what I like. Turns out this is what I want. Turns out I actually do like that. Having the ability to say, well, one, you were wrong before. You thought it was silly when guys picked up their girlfriends and, like, carried them around. But now, whoever your partner is, you kind of like them to carry you around. Or that you like it when they'll spin you around. You like it when your girl picks you up and spins you around. You like it when, they slap your ass in public. You never thought you'd be that person, but here you are. You like to, I don't know, like, dance with them. You like to do all these things that you never thought before that maybe you even hated on people for doing before. You hated PDAs. Turns out you like PDAs. Hey. So it's okay to, change your mind. It's okay to decide you're just into something else. And it's something that, I think that you should be able to talk to your partner about, your spouse about, if that's like where you're at, and then also figuring that out before you get there, so when it's a yes, when it's a, oh, like I didn't ever thought about that, like let me like think about that, or when it's like a no, that's on my no list, this cannot occur, so being able to cut to that chase really quick, and then also to commit to whatever it is that you've decided really isn't for you, like you really know that's not for you, being able to commit to that, right? Somebody was just talking about how she wished so much when she was 18 she had known she could say no to guys. She could know that she said no, but she wished she knew that she could say no, like firmly, like, dude, just get the fuck out of my face, like, dude, I'm just not fucking interested. And I actually thought about that too, like her story of like this guy who would like follow her around, follow her on social media. It reminded me of this guy when I was 18 working at McDonald's, and he would go every day through the drive through, and he would say totally inappropriate stuff, and it was just like, here's your coffee with 3's equals, sir, every day, and like he's just said some weird stuff, like, and I remember like it's stuff that's weird enough that I even told my husband about it years later, like, dude, this guy was just so weird. And like it just like it made me sad, because it's like looking back on it now, I was just so eager to be polite, to not be seen as like this bitch. I was always like super like ha ha hey. So it's like, even if somebody was making me vastly uncomfortable, I would be trying to like keep the peace. And I wish, I knew then what I knew now, which is that they're kind of taking advantage of the fact that I didn't know I didn't have to keep the peace. That I was young enough that I could be kind of manipulated by older people. Because I'm just young enough that, like, when you're 17, 18, 19, you're still kind of going through that transition of adults, you kind of snapping to attention when adults tell you what to do, or like at least addressing that it was an adult telling you what to do. And then now you're an adult, so you don't actually have to listen to these people, you know what I'm saying? That person has no bearing on anything. And so being able to like draw that hard line on things that you don't like is so important. And it's something that I think it's kind of a tool that's bypassed on us, and a lot of women kind of either get taught it by another woman when they're mid-20s or older, or they witness it or see it or hear it, whatever. But I feel like there's like kind of a gap between like 18 and 21 where that should be like taught. That should be something where we're like really pressing. So it's really cool that there's the internet now, so I can like say that type of stuff in a video, or we can write that type of status on Facebook and stuff, which I've seen, and it's really cool. But yeah, like it when she was talking about that, it reminded me of like that hard line that we forget, that we not even forget, that we don't even realize we have when we're super young. And then sometimes a lot of people don't even reclaim it as they get older. They just continue to have people crossing the line with them, habitual line steppers, and there's not much they feel like they can do about it, because they forget they do have the power to say no. They forget, like she said earlier, that person is not the end, you know what I mean? Or it's like, if somebody says that stuff, you'll never get better than me. There's like a billion people on this earth. What you mean? No, abusers can always be replaced, right? And people who have stuff on your hard no list definitely can always be replaced. Because if it's on your hard no list, you kind of already know where that shit is going, So she goes on to 7 steps for a healthy relationship. Once your union is sanctified, follow these 7 steps to maintain balance, clarity, and ever-flowing love and understanding. And I think this chapter is so good to reread every 6 months or so when you have this sacred relationship, or whenever I feel like I'm struggling in some area of my life. I usually struggle at it for a good long while before I remember, but I do eventually remember that I have a tool that can give me some basic ass, elder advice. If it's like I'm just like I'm struggling with this, I cannot get inspired at all to do my house. I read a few chapters of Sacred Space. I read a few paragraphs, should I say, of Sacred Space, and I'm like pumped. I'm ready. So it's the same with like your union. When you're feeling like, oh, I don't even know what to do anymore, you know, and it's been like months and months and months since you looked at the book or you like practice some of these things. Sometimes you'll open this chapter up and you'll be like, oh, like, duh, we haven't done that in forever. I haven't done that in forever. I haven't even trying to do that. And then you realize, like, I haven't been doing any of the things that could be fixing this situation. There was like a ton of things I could be doing. I think most situations fall under that category where we're like, it's like, what's going on? It's all just falling apart. But there really are so many tools that you could be using to like actually stop it from falling apart, even though you can't remember them in the moment, right? In the moment, it's hard. You're falling apart. It's hard to remember, you know. It's like it's hard to remember your root work, right? It's like when remember in Harry Potter 1 where in the book, not the movie, they fucked that scene up in the movie. In the book, Harry and Ron and Hermione are in this tangled thing, wet, like, you know, these vines under the school, right? Remember they're going to get the Philosopher's Stone, and so they get all tangled up in these tight vines, and they're getting tighter and tighter, and Hermione's like, oh, this is like gumbleweed or something, and then she's like, it hates bright light and warmth, and she's like, if only I could make a fire, and Ron is like, girl, are you a witch or not? Make a damn fire. What the fuck? You gonna have us all die here? Not remembering you know how to make a damn fire. You got a wand in your damn hand and you know the spell off the top of your head. You gonna have us all choked to death and die here with the chosen one, and you know how to make a damn fire. You're a witch. And so that, I think, is such a good situation because it's like that sometimes. Sometimes we're Hermione and we're in the situation and we're like, I know this, like, I know this is this, and this is like this, and then someone's like, just, you know, do a reversal, just put them in a jar, just do a cow tongue spell, and get them to shut the fuck up. You know, it's so easy, but when you're in the moment and you're like, and you're sweating and you're like, this is real time, sometimes you really just can't even remember that you're a fucking witch. So that's, you know, that is just what it is. So just remember, you have it. Are you a witch or not? Are you a root worker or not? Is you a conjure woman or not? You have the power to do this. You know, it's within you. You know the answer. And sometimes you do really just have to have like a Ron, let this be a Ron Weasley, and open it up and just kind of get that slap in the face. Duh. This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I know how to do this. Of course I know how to clean my house from top to bottom and scrub it down with, you know, Florida water. Of course I know how to smoke cleanse my house. Of course I know how to smoke cleanse one of my friends who's going through something, and like we'll start from the top and go down. Of course I know how to lay hands. Of course I know how to, you know, give a blessing. Of course I know how to do these things. And so, you know, of course I know how to put, like, you know, make a small pouch and bless it and put it over the doorway of my home. You know, like there's just little things that, you know, you do know how to do them, but then again, when you're in the situation sometimes, it's stressful. It's hard to stay in your center and remember what the hell you're doing, and utilize it. So after that, here's our 7 steps. She says before that, trust in the Most High for guidance in all your relationships. In this way, when it's time, you will be able to give fully and beautifully, like Neferutum, the lotus within you, and forgive that you might be forgiven. Love that you might be loved. Send out compassion that you might receive it in return. And I that's so beautiful, right? It's so beautiful to remember that there is reciprocity, but it does start with you giving and believing. Okay, Tyra. Can you give it to Taka? Taka might want to play with it.
No.
Okay.
I forgot it.
Give it to Taka. Taka wants it, I'm sure. Step 1. Purify the mind, body, and spirit. Be a light and example so that your mate and others you know may be inspired to grow. So in this way, you know, you're not just you know, living this purified life so that your husband or wife will want to be purified too. It's not like that. It's more like when they're you know, you're inspiring each other to elevate. You're inspiring each other because they feel the goodness
of you cooking these home cooked meals. They feel the goodness, the wellness of the spiritual baths that you give yourself and that you give them. They feel the genuine warmth and happiness from your energy, and it draws them back to you, and it reminds them why they're there with you and why they chose you to grow with. It's not about you being like, well, I'm this sacred person now. I'm outgrowing you. Because there's probably a bunch of things they've outgrown you on that have nothing to do with spirituality, and they never said shit about it. They weren't all up in your face like, oh, look at me, I elevated, look at you, still can't cook, I'm up here elevated. They never said shit. They're over there like, elevating at work, elevating in like personal relationships, elevating in all these other ways, and here you are elevating spiritually and acting like that's better than anything they've ever done in their lives. And so, okay, good job. And so I think, an actual inspiration is coming from a place of kindness, goodness, genuine. You're genuinely doing this for you and genuinely spreading that energy to the people you love. And then hopefully genuinely they'll be inspired to, respond and like. And it's really hard to not respond and like when somebody is, coming from that genuine place and just emanating that warmth and emanating that good energy. It's like a personal decision to ignore that for a really long time. So, if you're committed, if you're genuine, if it is actually love and kindness emanating out and actually genuine love of seeing them grow or seeing them happy and well fed or seeing them supported, etc. If it's genuine and not from a place of holier than thou, people will respond. That is my honest belief with stuff. And that also is something, I think that you'll see in the 5 Love Languages book that I was referencing earlier. Like, you'll see it in that too. It's like, if you're just roaming around like, well, look at me, I'm nice now, I've been cleaning the house, I've been doing chores for you, you know what I mean? Like, that's not speaking their love language. That's just you trying to like bait them into like doing what you want them to. You know what I'm saying? You're not actually doing that from a genuine place of wanting their bucket to be filled. You're doing it because you want your bucket to be filled. And so, finding that place of being genuine is so important. I think a lot of people just kind of skip over that part. So here we go. Or they misread what it is. Not skip over that, but they think that they're being genuine because they're being holier than thou and kind of coming from that look at me type of attitude in place. But that's just going to turn everybody off. That's going to make everybody hate you. It's going to ruin your sacred union, your union, any of it, whatever shreds are left. That person's just going to end up hating you. Or they're just going to, it's just going to create contention because they're going to be like, well, what the fuck do you mean? Why are you walking around here insulting me all day about my, like, lack of sacredness or whatever? That's not going to inspire anybody. Anyways. Number 2, respect and support the natural diversity in yourself, in your mate, in your blood, and extended family. It's the variety of life that makes a garden beautiful. This is so important because I think a lot of people are like, they want everybody to transform exactly how they've transformed. In their mind, it would be best if everybody in their house was wearing, kente cloth or Ankara, clothes, and everybody was, breatharian, and everybody was cleansed and just doing everything that they said, you know what I mean? Walking around with the crystals, like, taped to their body, I don't know, doing all this stuff, and that's not a really reasonable expectation, for the loved ones in your life. Especially blood and extended family. They ain't even living with you and you're like trying to be like doing all this too much, and trying to force people to do a complete, 180 on their lives to change to conform to what you've been personally learning and stuff. Understanding that there is natural diversity. There are people in your family who are going to, they may understand that it's appropriate to cut back on meat, but they're probably still going to eat meat. They may not have the same religious beliefs as you. They may genuinely believe in something that you think is complete nonsense. Respecting and supporting that is still important.
You know, there may be, you know, it just may be uneven in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? There's just the importance of diversity. There are people can be highly spiritual too. I want to say this because I said this in Queen's Journey is Not Your Journey, that video. But it's important to remember that, you know, you're not going to know who's sacred just by how they're dressed. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the diversity, is that they're not all going to be dressed like Erica Badu. They're not all going to be dressed like Jadena or acting like Jadena, you know what I mean? Or however you say that guy's name, I don't even know. But I'm just saying, like, you know what, they're not all going to be, you know, dressing a certain way, acting a certain way, having certain people around them, etc., etc., etc. Everybody's situation is very different. So, you know, you may meet somebody who is dressed like Rico Nasty, and they are highly initiated, highly blessed, highly... I see you have a little piece of paper garbage. Oh, Tyra. But you know what I mean? But they may, like, be dressed a total certain way. They may be dressed and look like Nicki Minaj and still be a highly spiritual person. The diversity is beautiful, and it does make me sad when I see people, you know, judge people because they're not dressed like Queen Afua, or judge people on the opposite end because they have long nails, or they don't have long nails, or, you know, all these weird aesthetic choices and differences that ultimately don't really decide anything. That's just giving that person personal power to wear whatever is unique and beautiful to them. And so in that way, it's giving, you know, personal power, but it's not really actually affecting anything, and you can't actually glean something always from that. Some things you can, for example, certain necklaces, certain symbols mean something. So obviously you'd be able to be like, oh, that's this person, that person represents this, or that person's representing that. I don't know if they know it, but they are. And so, you know, there are certain symbols that mean something, but ultimately, just kind of deciding that people are or are not spiritual based on their aesthetic choices being super modern or super ancient looking, right? Because there are people out there who dress like Queen. Oh, we have no more painting. We ran out of papers. I need to buy more. You know, just trying to decide that you know somebody, oh, because they wore lingerie on, you know, Instagram, they're not spiritual, or because they always wear, you know, full headdress covered Muslim wear, they're the most spiritual person out there. You know, you can't always just decide off the bat from that. There is beauty in the nature of in the natural diversity in ourselves, in our mates, and in our communities, and in our families, right? 3, think before you speak. Your words can build or destroy. This is a huge one. You know, one sentence can kind of destroy the trust that your spouse can have in you. One time dismissing something that's super important to them and being like, never speak of that again, or the best way is to just forget about it and, like, not address it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you say something like that, which, I mean, it sounds silly, but in the heat of moments, you know, people can and do say one sentence that can totally ruin something. And it could be because it triggered something within them from their past. It could be because they, you know, really, like, don't know how to react at all, you know, appropriately. There are a lot of reasons, you know, why somebody could fuck up, and they can be really good reasons, but it doesn't change the fact that your words can really fuck shit up. You know what I mean? So thinking about what you say before you say it, keeping those words tucked in, and then also I'd urge, if you're somebody who has struggles to keep words in, just try not to drink. Would probably be the best. Stay sober, especially if you're somebody who, you know, you get a couple shots deep and then you just start talking word vomit. I think, you know, calibrating and recognizing that there are some things you can't do because you recognize that words can destroy, is the best bet. You know, it's, if you want to protect something, you know, protect it. 4, stay detached. Oh wait, I can't pick you up, baby. I'm making a video and you don't have any underwear on. Where's your shorts? Go to my bed and maybe, or go to your, let me see, let me go help you. So I think I was on number 4. Stay detached. Free your heart of malice, anger, and vengeful ways. Ooh, that vengeful ways thing is a really big one, because when you're in that state where you're just kind of caught up in vengeance. Good job. It's like, look at my butt. She has the clothes on. That's funny. You're funny, Tyra. Anyway. When you're in that state of vengefulness, malice, anger, right? You're just waiting for the next thing to happen. You're just waiting for the next thing to be pissed at. You're just you're expecting it. And so when it happens, you're not surprised, and you're fully in the swing of making that shit a big deal. And on the opposite end, when you're not in this space of anger, trying to get back, trying to, either like get back at something that happened before this person, or this person has done something. Like, when you're trying to actually make it a sacred union and make it a healthy relationship, freeing your heart from old malice, freeing your heart from that need to, when something happens to you, you have to get back at them, and then blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, then it just turns into a back and forth, and there's kind of no end in sight. So understanding that way of being detached and detoxed and cord cutted all the way through, allows you to allows it so that your heart can detox, so that love will flow like a healing balm between you and your mate and others. So I really like that. The detached thing is kind of another way to say stay in your center. It doesn't mean you're not like in any way invested, but I just put a spoon in the sink and it turned out to be my daughter's, but it was on the floor in my defense. Anyway, so staying attached is like being in your center. So number 5, remember the lessons you've learned. Strive to use your relationship lessons as a guide towards maintaining your healthy union. I was just talking about this just earlier. Recognizing you have the tools, recognizing that you've learned the lessons and that they can be applied in real time. The issue is knowing which lessons to apply in real time and when to do it, all that. 6 is strive to be a source of divine love, nurturing, and compassion. Being that source of divine love, being that source of nurturing and compassion for your partner, and allowing them to be that source for you as well, and sometimes that does require asking and verbalizing your needs, in the ways that you need to be nurtured, because sometimes people just genuinely don't know. And someone, I think, speaking of Facebook posts, somebody was talking about, I think it was Leandra Baker, I think is her name. She was talking about how people are like, commend men for learning to be parents, right? They'll be like, oh, look, they're putting in all these little efforts and trying so hard. But for women, a lot of people kind of expect it to be like innate. They'll be like, "What? How didn't you know better?" And so, but she was saying like both people, need to learn to parent. Everybody needs to learn to parent. And so, I think that kind of relates to this in the sense of learning how to nurture others, and then learning how they can nurture you in a way that's, helpful for the relationship. It's a reciprocal thing, and it's something both of you will need to work on and put that effort into, because it's not natural to just nurture people constantly and know how to nurture your mates, know how to nurture your kids, know how to nurture yourself, everything you just know. I'm reading the book. I want to read the book. So, I think, making sure you guys both talk to each other so you know how the other wants to be nurtured, verbalize how you want to be nurtured, then you can, that communication can really go a long way with figuring out how to be that source for each other. 7, step onward. Pray for strength and divine direction as you both make decisions on transforming and building your lasting relationship. Pray about it. Pray. Pray together, pray separately. Everybody has their own way of doing things, especially if they have different religions. So, know that you can invite the divine into your relationship, and that inviting that divineness, that sacredness into your relationship does help elevate it, because it does mean that you're putting yourself energetically in a space where you're putting belief in your relationship, you're putting faith in your relationship, and then you're also putting that strength of that energy that's behind whatever your spirituality or religion into your relationship, which is also really powerful, right? Because if you're part of a religion or a group of spirituality, a practice, then there's others who are also a part of that practice, who are also a part of that belief system, and that collective energy also works a certain way. So we're on to down at page 337, before the wedding, creating a practical maintenance plan. She says, in traditional societies, the husband was the provider for his wife and children. As a result, he received absolute respect from his woman and children. The man built the home for his woman, provided her with jewelry, clothes, cloth and or sewing supplies, cows, domestic animals, source of light such as vegetable oil or animal fats for the light, canoes, whatever was needed for transportation. If he was a farmer, he tilled the land. Otherwise, he hunted or he herded. The woman, on the other hand, foraged for wild herbs and root and foods and fuel for cooking and heating. She prepared and served her husband's meals. In some cases, she worked the land that he prepared in order to bring the table vegetables, grains, and fruits. Tyra, get down. In other cases, she tilled as well. She often helped to build the house and keep it clean, and she wove and sewed most of their clothing. The couple lived within a supportive family compound. Huh?
Where you go, Captain?
I want to be in the kitchen today.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's lots of colors.
Yeah.
The couple lived within a supportive family compound that aided in providing everyone within the family and community what they needed for survival. The family had no choice but to live within their means, unlike today, where we live at a charge card existence that can create debt and anxiety, which produces stress in the union. Think about it. However, the two of you plan to handle your finances and family responsibility in this day and age, the business talk must be taken care of before you say I do. Be honest. Establish open communication and trust that your union can handle truth on this very important issue.
Mama. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Spider-Man.
Oh, talk of Spider-Man. Wonderful. Establish open communication and trust that your union can handle truth on this very important issue. This will aid in securing the future of your marriage. Below, I suggest several different ways to approach the practical matters of running the home together. So she's about to get into these finances, and I really love how she does this next part. So be creative, but make certain you both have a clear idea of what you're going to do and you both wholeheartedly agree. You might even want to write it down, sign it, and date it. You can amend your plan as the circumstances change, but always communicate clearly with each other and come to a loving agreement. So I think that part is also important. If you did get into marriage before you said I do, you didn't do all this.
You can still do all this. You guys can still make a plan, and it will change, you know? My husband and I definitely, we got married when we were like, what, 19 and 20, 20 and 21, I don't even remember. But we were young and definitely did not have the financial talk before, you know, nothing in any sort of depth, nothing about specific bills. Basically, we were poor enough, we were kids enough that whatever meager funds we got from our pathetic jobs kind of went into the pool of money, and we never were without each other, so you know it was easy to just always spend the money on ourselves. So but that obviously had to change when we got older and we started to have more and more responsibilities, and then we eventually had kids. You know, it obviously couldn't just be throw it all in the pot and pray, you know, and just everybody's just spending willy-nilly. It had to, you know, eventually there had to be plans, bank accounts, people in charge of different issues. Maintain balance and unity in the home. So here we go. Here's one way. The man or one spouse can take care of the financial cares of the home, such as rent or mortgage. Leases or deeds should always be in both names. The lease should have both of your names on it. The home you own should have both of your names on it. The deed, right? That should have both of your name on it. These items should have both of your names on it. It should be both of yours. This person in charge of the financial care might also be in charge of the bills. Electricity, gas, food, phone, attire, medical expenses, insurance, transportation, school expense. Part of the child's care, they would also be covering those financial expenses. They may or may not share in the costs of vacations and evenings out. If you're the one who works, also, your partner's doing all that, your work could perhaps go to saving or family night outs and vacations. That's one way. And so this person would, let's see, we'll get to that part first. So then the other person, one person's doing all that financial, their financials is covering all of the basics, right? So the electricity bill is a basic. Child care is a basic, right? If they're of a certain age or doing a certain thing, it's a basic. Medical expenses, insurance, this is stuff that you need, right? So the other person will be taking care of the home, keeping that pure and clean, doing the laundry, preparing natural and unprocessed foods for meals, right? So it's okay to have those couple of pizzas in the freezer, but you should also, you know, if you're the person at home and you don't have to do school, you don't have to work or anything, it is a really good idea to make some homemade stuff to keep in the freezer for, you know, 5-6 months, depending on when you guys might need something, to make it for the future, to have stuff in the fridge made so people can just pull it out and eat. Those are ways to make that life easier for sure. In your kitchen healing laboratory. Speaking of which, I totally have my poster. Let me move you guys real quick. Oh, excuse my chicken broth, but you see my Sacred Woman poster up here in my kitchen. You guys off, but I also have my cinnamon broom right there. It's like mine's scented like cinnamon and peach and some other stuff. So it's a beautiful little scent. But cinnamon is a really good one because it, you know, it's not fruit, it doesn't attract anything, and it's not like overwhelmingly like for a certain season. So, you know, my peach one I'm going to put away probably because it's like summer is kind of coming to an end. And cinnamon is going to be like kind of the scent of the fall. So it'll be really nice to smell. So I have another one that I'm going to switch out with. I forget where I put that one. I thought it was out here too. At any rate, so that was just one way. And sorry, they did also the personal healer of the home, especially for the person who's working, doing the
healing baths, massages, clay packs, live juices, herbal tonics, especially if the other person does like a hard labor job, has to do a lot of digging, lifting, moving on their feet all day type of shit, if they're the one doing the financial stuff. So that would be like the other person's job is to do the healing type of stuff. Child care also probably would fall on this person because they're at home, and so when the children aren't at school, they would most likely be with this person. So there's another way. So here we have the one pot African concept. Both partners put all of their money into one account or pot, and the couple maps out the budget that covers all the expenses, including vacations, evenings out, gifts, clothing, and so on. They care for each other equally in the kitchen, laboratory, hydrotherapy room, and regeneration chamber, and in caring for their kids. Okay. So this way of running the household can be combined with other ways, right? For example, you guys always put your money in the pot, but one person makes more money than the other person. So because they work longer hours, then that person picks up the slack with some of the stuff at home. But I mean, all in all, just, considering it all your money and, having different saving accounts for different things, is a way to be, all in and, keep it all in the pot. And, it's a very African concept, as she said, and, it's just another way. So we have yet another way to do this would be to sit down and have meetings until you work out your maintenance plan, being clear and open and honest with each other, for sooner or later, the truth of the matter will come out. If it's later, then be prepared for some misgivings and hurt feelings. Stand up for yourself, but also for the union. It can be worked out if your union is to be. Whatever your maintenance plan is for marriage, it must be established up front so that you can best serve each other in a balanced, real way. Put your cards on the table, breathe deep, drink plenty of water, and pray. Remember, whatever you do, work it out before you say I do. And it's important to, even knowing that you may change it in 5-10 years, it is important to try and fix this stuff beforehand, just so you even know that you guys can come to an agreement about something as serious as finances. So, wedding bands. When the moment comes to consecrate your sacred union, let even the wedding bands you choose be reflective of your reclaiming your ancient and divine high culture. If you're in doubt about which signs and symbols to choose, look to the oldest African source possible, the Nile Valley. She recommends the Studio of Ta in New York City, which has some beautiful wedding bands. She says, see Harriet Cole's African wedding book, Jumping the Broom. I've seen that one on Amazon a few times. I've been tempted to purchase. But I'm not sure if it's out of print, but I usually only see it being sold used. So it might be a really good one to jump in. Maybe he has more of his rings in there, or she talks about it in there too. She says the master craftsman. It's okay. You can have that, Basil. Look up there. No, look, Tyra, look on the counter. It's already there.
There?
No. Right there, Tyra, look. Look right here. Look at me. Right there.
There?
On the counter. Yes. You can take a leaf from there. So she says the master craftsman Sen-Ur-Haru Ankh Ra Samaj, who designed such things, is also a Kemetic high priest.
You can't open it.
Yes, it's a leaf. As a Nubian minister who performs wedding ceremonies to invoke the highest and most sacred traditions of the Kamite legacy, Senator Samaj says, as an African priest, before I consent to perform a cultural ceremony or union, I counsel the couple to cleanse, fast, and purify their body temples. In this way, they create a perfect union. Samataiwi. So, she does have a picture here at the bottom of two hands with some big chunky rings on them. And these have, they're pretty intricate, have some symbolism on them. I almost feel like you could probably go to the Studio of Ta and show him an Adinkra symbol and ask him to make those into a ring, and I have no doubt that he would do that for you, which would be really cool. You could also, choose stones that people don't typically choose.
You could also get tattoos of symbols or just a, a simple band, but, make it in some way have some kind of African, symbolism in there somewhere. But, the Studio of Ta has really pretty rings, and they also can be made pretty cheap. Like, he has, like, you can get it made cheap, but then you can also get it made really, really well, really expensive. So up to you for sure, but putting that extra love and care into the rings that you have, and even putting that cultural twist on that can really help, with the symbolic sacredness of the symbol of the ring, putting that, infusing your ancestors' energy as well. So we're on page 339 at section called Loving and Serving Your Mate. We're going to skip the section where she talks about purifying the sperm. But just know that the sperm should also be purified, as well as the womb, and that the sperm can also hold toxins, hold, fluids from the flesh and all this other stuff that affects their hormones and affects their sperm and affects, like, how fast it goes and affects how vital, the vitality, I guess, of it, and affects the taste. Which, if you grown, okay? Sperm, gotta take care of it. So, wear a condom or get that fool to cleanse, yo. So she has some other stuff here about purifying the male. Please buy the book if you're trying to, you feel like this is speaking to you. You're like, my mate needs to detox his sperm or his prostate. You're thinking, if it's your partner and you're not trying to, like, make him know too much, this could probably help you with also with remembering how to heal, you know what I mean? Like, she says 21 days, so that's all I'll give you. 21 days. And she actually encourages y'all to, while you're doing this purification of his body, detox of his body, his soul, whatever, to abstain for 21 days and then to come back together on the new moon. Sounds like that would be very beautiful and explosive. But there you go. So if you would like to buy this book, you should definitely buy this book and get all that. She even has a little meditation here about the sperm and the man and all of that stuff. So it's pretty good. So that's all on page 340. So we're still under loving and serving your mate. So that's all part of that. And if your mate is a female or has a womb, we got it all here, right? We got it all here. But if they have a penis and sperm and all that, typically we don't go over that in here. So we're going to keep going, because we're going to be skipping also, oh, wait, here, I'll read you guys this part, because this might help you with, if you're not going to read the book. Because she's talking about, so this part, heal a man, heal a woman, on page 340, she's talking about this woman has a tumor, she does really well with her eating, she has a perfect womb, all that stuff, but somehow she got this tumor, somehow all this stuff is occurring, right? She's eating really well, all this other stuff. So somehow she still got this tumor. And Queen asked her about her mate. And he kind of just does whatever he wants, eats whatever he wants, skeets all inside her how he feels. And basically Queen here is saying that he's injecting his essence into her womb, and the essence of his meals, the essence of the energy, the essence of his consumption into her womb. And she's like, you can participate in allowing some of this stuff to happen when you have a mate who's not really taking care of themselves, and then therefore injecting that into you, right? So she's saying, here's what the sister must do, is to take her womb knowledge and share it with her man, however she does it. Pamper him into healing. Give fresh juices like apple and pear. Hey. Tyra and Taka. Inside voices, please. Pear and apple, because the sweetness can make men want to, actually makes men want to heal in the goodness.
I feel like that's so true. Men love apple juice. Anyway, what am I talking about? Men love apple juice. She can prepare a healing bath for him and introduce him to some of the food alternatives. So yes, those are some ideas to get you started. But I don't know why I think men like apple juice. I just feel like they do. I feel like everywhere I go, like women are complaining that their apple juice. My friend was just over complaining that her man ate all the apple juice. But in his defense, she waters her apple juice. Okay, she waters that shit. So her apple juice will last her like a year and a half drinking how she drinks it. Whereas like he's drinking like a normal person, pour himself a cup. It's gonna be gone in a week. Anyway. Just saying. Some people out here too tall for the rest of us. And we're like, that's not how you drink juice. You don't splash juice into your water and think you're drinking juice, ma'am. She's a different one. So here we go. So she said drink that 8 to 16 ounce fresh apple or pear juice for gentle detoxification. And also, I just skipped all the way over to this side. I'm trying to find little tidbits to just throw out there so we're not reading about men for 2 hours. Take a bath together in total silence. Talk fast. We haven't done one of those in a long time. Massage his back, then have him massage yours using the olive or almond. Massage each other up and down the spine and neck to increase inner peace and soothe the nerves. My husband and I do that with each other all the time. We'll just have like a nice bath or a shower depending on the situation, and then just massage each other with oils, and we always feel like falling asleep after that. We're just like, our bodies feel good. Feels hella nice. And it's nice to just do that for your partner or just have them do that for you as well, right? So she has no more lovers. She has the 12-point action plan for men with sacred women in their lives, which is awesome. If you would like to give that to your partner, that would be really great. And let's see. I'm going to finish off today with reading on page 343, because the next few pages are about the men. She has a lot of pages about the men in this book. She has like 4 or 5, and she has a book called Man Heal Thyself. So if you got a man in your life, if you got somebody with a penis in your life, who would like to be healing that type of stuff in their life, healing sexually, healing emotionally, healing physically, healing spiritually. There are hella pages in this book for that, for you to be helping them, for them to be helping themselves in this book, information that they should be reading themselves. And then also, they have a whole book that's like, it's a little guy, but I mean, it's still chock full of information, and I really enjoy that text. And that's one Queen wrote specifically because men were requesting it from her. So I'm going to end off today with just reading this poem by Haru Ankh-Rasmaj. If you recognize, that was the person who made the rings. I'm pretty sure he also is Queen's ex-husband. He was one of her husbands. I think she's had 2. So he has 3 parts. I think it's the sound of the pipes behind the dishwasher, because I think all of our pipes are connected, so I think somebody somewhere, either in that house or that house, is using their dishwasher. So he called this one Speech of the Seed, and there are 3 parts. To those struggling, to the sisters, and to the brothers. He says, to those struggling, B-boys rhyme an inner city rap, curse not our women, their wombs don't attack. They're our sisters, our mothers, not bitches, not hoes, in their precious bodies our nation rose. They are the queens of Nubian resurrection, so check this out. A new direction, respect your first home, the womb of your mama. Bring women no insults, no curses, no trauma, no acid sperm, no seed hooked on crack, no 40-ounce highs, no dead foods, no violence, no anger, no pain. The ancients are watching as our lives we reclaim. To the sisters, oh how you dance, womb, you dance, I salute you. Let us celebrate the joy of a freedom reclaimed. Womb, first nest of the egg of creation.
Comedic black source of all human life. You stir my seed to dance with your egg in your primordial waters of noon. Oh, how you dance, womb, with living seed. To the brothers, man your life stations. Let us cleanse our seed. No negative thoughts, no toxic foods, no adverse actions. Dance, seed, dance in the living womb. The kind of seeds we sow can make or break our rising nation. No seed comes forth unless it lifts our station and brings glory and healing to all our relations. Speak, seed, speak. Deliver to us the saviors of our race. Living seeds need living food. Herbs to make sperm seeds stern and strong in the womb of heaven where we dance. Living seed in a living womb. This is the new order. This is the new day. Be cleansed, be purified. It is the only way. Let's dance. Let's celebrate. So this, I think, was a beautiful ending to it because, it can address the womb, the seed. I'm not sure if it's my favorite one just because it felt like he equated the woman to the womb a lot, and the men kind of have a lot of other stuff going on there. But at the same time, I think, his point was about working together, about considering what you're putting out into the world, considering what you're receiving into yourself, and to, really work on that balance between the masculine and the feminine. Real quick before I go, I thought it was really, really beautiful in the 12-point action plan for the men. She also talks about having an altar of sacredness where the woman, his mate is on the altar. And I thought that was a really cool tip for her to give, because we've talked about my husband and I have a marriage altar, but having an altar that the male makes to talk to the woman, to give, put his energy into their relationship, to talk to his mate, whoever that is, put energy into that relationship. That's a really powerful thing too, for them to be working on their own, not just not just in conjunction with you, and not just you working on your own thing, but them doing their thing as well. So yeah, I thought that was a really beautiful thing. But we're gonna start next week on page 346. We're going to skip a couple pages because she goes on about the prostate and the man and cleansing. It's really in depth. You should get it if you want it. But we're going to be starting at right after setting up an altar for the spiritual awakening of the Jed. The Jed is the penis. That's what she's referring to there. So we're going to, after that part, we're going to start with the myth of Ost and Asar, or Isis and Osiris. And then we'll go into holistic lovemaking is all about creation and all of that wonderful stuff. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed. I know that is it. We just talked for over an hour. I hope you totally enjoyed this and that it gave you a lot of inspiration for sacred unions, for your own, nuanced situation. It's really hard, obviously to talk about the sacred union just because everybody's at a different place. Some people have somebody, some people don't. Some people have somebody who kind of fits in directly with all of this. It's like a cis male with the penis and, he's trying to be a holistic, all this other stuff. And then other people, are going to be with somebody who doesn't quite fall into all of this. So it's going to take a little nuance and understanding what works for you and what applies to you. But all in all, I think, we were able to get up with a lot of really wonderful knowledge for today. So I think this week, if you're looking for the kind of like, what do I do this week? This is the week to kind of think about what you want in your marriage. Think about what your kind of ideal marriage would be financially. It's important to write that stuff down, even if you're already in the marriage, because if your hope is that you guys are going to be like saving X amount of money every month and
like if you're going to be changing up how you do the finances, write it down and pray about that first, and really start getting that your energy towards that direction that you're trying to get it to. If you have nobody, understanding kind of what you're into is important. And then of course, if you have a fiance, you're kind of on the brink of getting married, making sure you understand this stuff and you've discussed it prior is highly important. Finally, thinking about how to apply the basic 4 to your life: feeding from your pots, looking attractive and well groomed around the home, keeping the home in order, and being loving in and out of the bed. Finding ways to apply that into your life will also really help you, I think, this week. Because I think out of those 4 things, I'm sure there's one of them that you could put more effort into and elevate how well you've been doing it at this time. Alright, so may your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and I will see you next Monday.